Okay, so what if I told you there's a single company that connects the plastic wrap in your kitchen with life-saving medical devices and even the house you might live in? Sounds kind of crazy, right? Well, we're about to dive into a 100-year-old Japanese giant that didn't just survive the last century, it totally mastered the art of radical reinvention over and over again.
I mean, really, take a look at this list. Plastic wrap, houses that can withstand earthquakes, and super important parts for EV batteries. It sounds more like a random shopping list, not the strategy of a single, focused company. So what on earth is the connection here? And the answer is, it's all one company, Asahi Kasei. And their story isn't just about business, you know? It's really a playbook for how to completely change direction, pivot, and somehow come out on top in a world that never, ever stops changing.
To really get how this is even possible, we've got to go back and look at their history. And this isn't your typical story of slow, steady growth. Nope. It's a story of making huge, fearless leaps into totally new areas.
It all kicked off back in 1922 with textiles. Pretty standard stuff. But then things get interesting. By 1960, they're in kitchens everywhere with saran wrap. Okay, a bit of a leap, but you can still see the connection to chemicals. Then, just 12 years later, they jump into building entire houses. Seriously, just think about that pivot. And as if that wasn't enough, 2 years after that, they're making artificial kidneys. So we're talking from textiles to biotech in just a few decades. This wasn't just diversification. It was a series of bold, almost crazy invasions into completely unrelated fields.
So, after 100 years of these massive changes, how does a company like this even think about itself? Well, they've managed to boil down all that incredible diversity into three main pillars.
And those pillars are material, homes, and healthcare. Now, they sound totally separate, right? But we're going to see how the company's deep expertise in chemistry and engineering actually ties them all together. Let's start with material.
The material segment is really their innovation engine. They're not just making basic plastics. No way. They're engineering these crucial, high-performance materials that make your phone lighter and your electric car's batteries safer and way more efficient. They are literally creating the building blocks of our modern world.
Then you have the home segment. And here, they're not just putting up 4 walls and a roof, they're building legacies. These are high-tech, super energy-efficient prefab homes, engineered with so much precision that they're designed to last for generations. It's a totally different way of thinking about what a home is.
And finally, their healthcare division. This is where they continue that audacious leap they made way back in the 70s. From essential drugs to life-saving devices like those artificial kidneys, this pillar is all about using their material science know-how to help us live longer, healthier lives.
Now here's what's really fascinating. It's how this company plans for what's next. They don't just sit around and wait for the market to tell them what to do. They look at the world's biggest problems and build their entire strategy around solving them.
And this is where their thinking is just so different. Most companies look at huge global problems, like climate change or an aging population, and they see risks they have to manage. Asahi Kasei looks at them and sees massive business opportunities. Their core belief is that the biggest challenges are where you'll find the biggest markets. So yeah, solving humanity's problems is their business plan.
And here is a perfect example of their long-term thinking. They're not just betting on one future. They're actively planning for at least 2. In a best-case climate scenario, they're prepped for carbon taxes and new regulations. But in a worst-case world, they're getting their factories and supply chains ready for the physical reality of floods and extreme heat. They're basically hedging their bets against the future of the planet itself.
All of this leads to a huge commitment. They've gone on record and said they're aiming for company-wide carbon neutrality by 2050. Now, for a massive industrial company that started out in chemicals, that's not just a goal, it's a promise to fundamentally reinvent themselves yet again.
A strategy this ambitious is just impossible without the right company culture. So, how do you get tens of thousands of employees working in dozens of different industries to all pull in the same innovative direction? What's the secret sauce?
Well, it really boils down to this philosophy they call the A spirit. And it's not just some corporate mission statement on a poster. It's a real cultural guide that pushes every employee to think like an entrepreneur. The whole idea is to create a place where 2 things happen. First, individuals are always learning and growing. And second, and this is the important part, people from totally different parts of the company, say a textile engineer and a farmer researcher, can team up and create something brand new. That's what they call co-creation.
And that spirit of co-creation isn't just happening in Japan anymore, it's global. With more than 40% of their team now based outside the country, they're deliberately mixing different cultural perspectives and ideas.
This isn't just about selling in more countries. It's about getting more diverse minds at the table to solve bigger, more complicated problems.
So when you piece it all together, that incredible history of reinvention, the super diverse businesses, and this forward-looking culture, what you get is a pretty unique blueprint for what a 21st century company can be.
And through all those changes, from textiles to biotech, their core mission has stayed exactly the same: to contribute to the life and living of people around the world. That purpose is like the anchor that gives them the stability to explore so many different oceans.
Which, leaves us with a really fascinating question. After 100 years of turning textiles into tech and plastic wrap into pharmaceuticals, you just have to wonder, what giant global challenge are they going to take on next? What's going to be the artificial kidney moment of the 21st century for Asahi Kasei? The possibilities for a company like this really do seem endless.